Hello, this is Frank Allen. If you are a student in one of my classes, we're going to cover in this video some of the concepts that were on your Unit 3 test. Unit 3 covered the structure of the atom, or as we sometimes say, atomic structure. What the atom is like, what the atom is made of. And one of the concepts that you have to be able to tell us about is the concept of ions. Okay, so an ion is simply a charged particle, a particle that either has a negative or a positive charge. Now we're going to be talking about simple ions, not complex polyatomic ions. So basically I'm going to give you something like this, or this, and you have to tell me how many electrons and protons are in this ion. So this is plus 3. This doesn't mean to add 3. This doesn't mean that 3 things were added somewhere. This means that the charge, the value of this particular atom is positive 3. Now a normal aluminum atom, if you look at the periodic table, you should have a periodic table in front of you, has 13 protons and 13 electrons. Atoms become charged by losing or gaining electrons. They can lose or gain electrons and still be the same atom. If the protons change, it's a completely different atom. So the way that this becomes positive 3 is that it loses these electrons, so that you're going to have 3 more positives than negatives. Protons are positive, electrons are negative. You learned that a long time ago in 9th or 8th grade. So the way that this becomes positive 3 is to lose 3 electrons. So this particle will have 13 protons and 10 electrons. Another way that you could answer this question is if I asked you how many electrons this particle has. Elements, simple elements, will try to have the same number of electrons as their closest noble gas. And so if you look on the periodic table, the closest noble gas to aluminum by number, the closest noble gas to aluminum is neon, and neon has 10 electrons. The protons do not change. It's only the electrons that change when we're talking about ions. Oxygen. If oxygen has a charge of -2, and I'm giving you the charge, if oxygen has a charge of -2, well, the protons do not change. So looking at the periodic table, 8 protons. The way that something becomes negative is that it gained 2 electrons. So it would have 10 electrons. It would also want to have the same number of electrons as the closest noble gas, which again, the closest noble gas by number is neon. Now I might ask you, for instance, what would be the charge if an atom had 26 protons and 24 electrons? I would ask you what atom this is and what its charge is, what ion this is, what its charge is. The protons tell you the atom. So if you look on the periodic table, you see that 26 protons is iron. But we've got 2 more positives than negatives, and so the charge is positive 2. This particular atom lost 2 electrons, and that's how it becomes positive 2. A couple of quick examples again. Let's say that I give you this, and I ask you how many electrons and protons. So you look on the periodic table, K is potassium, there are 19 protons. If it's positive 1, that means it lost an electron, so it would have 18. Another way to get to this number of electrons, what's the closest noble gas by number? and that's argon with 18 electrons. So the answer to this would be 18 electrons and 19 protons. We're going to do other lessons on isotopes and spectroscopy, one or two other lessons, but this is the lesson for ions. If you have any questions about it, you can stop by and ask me.